Hello and welcome to the next part of my Introduction to Allods online video series. This part we're going to be covering something that is more end game related, and specifically one of the more prominent features of Allods online, and that is the Astral. So, I am right now standing in the Astral Academy for the League side. You can teleport here from pretty much any of the standard teleporters. And the Empire side, of course, has one of these too. So when you teleport in here, you're going to show up right in this spot right here. And there's a variety of different things in this area. One thing that is kind of good to know is that this is one of the few areas that is completely safe from the opposite faction. So if you're going to go AFK or something, this is where usually people end up. So League players cannot get to the Empire side, and the Empire players cannot get to the League side. Now you may notice there's several ships and harbors on here. If I pop up the map real quick, you can see we're on a little Allod and there's 5 different piers. Those piers each dock a different ship, and these are actually player-owned ships. So it is pretty cool. If you look up above, you can see the name of the ship, who owns it, their guild, and some number. I guess it's like a ship's rating or something like that. This one is not here right now, which means that they've sailed it off somewhere. So people that have rented a pier to use, they go up on sale, I believe, once a month from the auction house. And the competition does get a little bit pricey. So it's not very cheap to own one of these, but if you do have a pier set up, you are the only one that's allowed to dock there for a period of, I believe, a month. The benefit is, 1, of course, you can show off your ship, and 2, you can launch to go out on missions and things in the Astral directly from this pier. You don't have to go into the harbor. Or hangar, I'm sorry. So, Clove Runner, there's Moon. But it's kind of an interesting way of just seeing who's got what kind of different ship. Now, over on this side, we have a ship equipment dealer. He will sell you ship parts, and we'll get into ship parts in just a minute. This is one of the demon hunters. You can also buy ship parts and things from her with special particles of anomalous matter. I think I said that right. So, not just ship parts. She also has some other stuff for sale. But if you talk to her, some of the other options she's got are all in here. So, interesting stuff. Then over here, you've got the mercenary captain. You can talk to the mercenary captain here and enroll in a flight for various sections of the Astral. So, Stormy Astral, Glittering Astral, Glaring Astral, those are all different grades of Astral. And if you click on that, you can choose a role. And I'm playing as Pio, which is my tank, so I could choose a tank's role. And I can choose what items I want for my loot drops. So you can kind of configure what the loot table is going to be specifically for you, and it kind of helps you get the stuff that you need a little bit sooner. So let's say gloves. And you can see now I've got a timer up here. It says it's waiting. Ships from this service here, the mercenary service, They launch every 30 minutes, so on the hour and every half hour. It also shows you what role you're going to be playing. So you can actually click on other players and see if they've signed up, and this guy has here, as well as the role they're going to be playing. So he's playing as a fighter, and he's signed up to launch on the next one out, which will be in 14 minutes. However, we're not going to go and do that. So if you cancel your role, it'll cancel the effect, and it'll drop you out of the queue. But that system is pretty handy, and it's a lot easier way of doing things if you don't own your own ship. So I highly recommend checking that out once you get to the appropriate level. And by appropriate level, now I said this is endgame content. Technically, you can start doing this stuff from level 35. That is the minimum level that you need to be able to access the hangars. However, realistically speaking, you're going to want to wait until you're about level 40 before you start doing the easier astral sectors. And those over there are not the easier astral sectors. So 40 is where you can start your base sectors. So you can see here, this is the astral map, and I've got 3 sections over here on the side. The first one is the really easy stuff. This is basically the stuff that you could do at level 40. So this is actually where the home Allod for the league side is. This is Cania. And this is Nezabgrad, which is the home Allod of the Empire side. So all of these are different sectors that are obviously interconnected, and you can sail around in those and find Allods to explore and loot, basically. And yes, I mean it, you can sail around. That's one of the big, huge things about Allods that makes it so cool. Now, moving on. This is the stuff that you're going to usually do around level 40, if you even bother. A lot of people actually skip the level 40 ones entirely and go straight on to the endgame ones. So from about level 50 and up, that's when you're going to get into these. This is where you're going to get lots and lots of gear and ship parts and all kinds of stuff that's really important for you to be able to build up your character at the end game. Each one of these has different allods that you can find in it. Sometimes you'll find the same allod in multiple places, but there's tons of them. There's tons of different allods, and they're all mixed up in here. And there's demons out there in the astral, and yada yada yada. We're going to go actually out and take a look at that in just a minute. Moving down the way here, the mysterious astral, the third layer, is, as you can see, there's a lot of them I haven't uncovered yet for this sector. I've only got the basic ones that you start with. And this is how you get glyphs, which you use, like I mentioned before, you use them to improve your late game gear. For just a quick look at that, I'll show you here. Well, my gear is a little bit lacking at the moment, but here is my weapon, and you can see right there, kind of in the middle, it says glyphs, and I've got 2 glyphs in there. So those are what glyphs are, and they add to the damage and stats of your gear. But now we're going to go up into the hangar. And again, you can first access this once you're level 35. So this is the ship master here. This is the guy that you would talk to about first getting your ship built. To do that, you're going to want to pick up, there are 3 different contracts that you can get on different allods, and you get them by just doing the quests on those allods. You'll naturally encounter those if you're going through the storyline, so I'm not really going to go into details on that. but there's that guy. And so when you're building the ship, he's who you want to talk to. He'll also give you missions that shorten the amount of time it takes to build it. The guy that we want to talk to here is the Hangar Guardian. He will teleport us into the hangar. And here we are. So if you don't own a pier and you don't have, or you're not using the mercenary services, this is going to be where you launch all of your astral missions. Now, I have a ship, so it shows up down here and asks me to summon it. So let's go ahead and bring my ship in here. My zombie tour bus. I've had this ship for so long, it even looks old now. Now, there's a couple more vendors in here, as well as quest givers, and really we're doing astral stuff. I'm not going to go into too much detail about all of this either. There's just so much stuff, and I could spend ages in here trying to go over every little bit. So these are different missions that they'll give you to go out and ship supplies out to different places in the astral, and supplies that you would need for doing that. You can also just buy equipment for your ship. I appear to be unable to click the X buttons on these for some reason. These guys will give you information about ship parts, so they're a good resource to check out. Because again, there's so many different ship parts, I am not going to have enough time to just go over all of this stuff in this video. So if you want more information on a specific part of your ship, come talk to these guys. And they've got plenty of info in there for you. These guys will give you teleport charges and information about things. When you're going out and you're getting to the various Allods that are out there in the astral, you can choose two different ways of getting there from launching from the hangar. The first way is the standard route of sailing, and usually you want a crew for this. It's possible to do it solo, but typically you want a couple buddies with you so that they can man navigation stations or man the cannons and various other points of your ship. The other option, though, if you don't sail, you can teleport. Teleporting requires teleport charges, which you can pick up from these guys. Every time that you go out to an astral Allod via a teleport charge, it will consume that charge. The benefit being, though, you don't have to worry about getting looted or destroyed out in the astral. When you pick up loot from a boss in the astral on one of the Allods, that loot will typically go into your treasure hold on your ship, which is down here at the bottom. And then you can only loot that once you're back in your safe harbor. So you'd come all the way back from the astral, park yourself in the harbor, and then everybody on your team can run down and loot. So you do run the risk of, if you get destroyed while you're out there in the astral, you will drop your loot in the astral. You do have the opportunity to go back and pick it up again if you can get back to that same spot, but generally speaking, you've lost it. So you're probably not going to want to do that if you're not well crewed, or if you're just unsure and insecure about going out and doing that sort of thing. Astral is open PvP, or at least open factional PvP. So if you see members of the Empire side and you're a League, or if you see League ships and you're on the Empire side, you can openly engage them in combat. And yeah, that gets pretty interesting, but again, you're probably going to want a crew for that. And I really highly don't recommend taking a brand new stock ship out and sailing it into PvP. You'll probably end up in purgatory pretty quickly. Back here we've got the Demon Hunter lady again, just like outside. And then the hangar overseers, these guys are who you want to talk to in order to put new devices on your ship that you purchased from the auction or that you've looted. So you can change your ship's stuff here, or you can unsummon it, or whatever. And we'll come back to this in just a moment. So last of all the stuff in this spot is this back wall here, which is pretty easy to miss if you don't know it's there. This is the device rack. If you click on this, it will show you all of the different stuff that you've got for your ship. This isn't just stuff that you potentially could have, it's stuff that you actually own. Pieces of the ships that you've got that are just in waiting. So now, if I click on these guys and go to change my ship's devices, you'll see here I've got this little hammer status effect on me. Now, what I can do here is, you can see I've got shields here. I've got one up there on the front as well. And I've got all these cannons here. Now on my ship, I'm only using the same cannon, basically. At least above deck I am. Below deck, I do have a few different cannons, but every single one of these cannons can be changed out for something else. So if I wanted to, I can click on that cannon, and let's stick on something else here. How about this one? Sure. There we go. I've got a different cannon. Now I'm not going to keep that because that cannon's not as good as the one I already had. This is 7th generation, so it's, you know, semi-decent. But same goes with the shields. And notice in this window, when it's showing me all of the different options I've got to put on and all the different shields that I have, I've got a weight down here. And each one of these has a weight amount. So if I click on that, the weight's at 790, 773, 790. You can see there's a difference in the overall weight of my ship depending on the shield I choose. I'm not going to change it actually. So every device on your ship that's a functional part of the ship is changeable. This is my navigation station. I'm able to change these out as well. And they do look a little different. Typically, if you die while you're out in the astral, you will not respawn in purgatory. You'll actually respawn on the back of your ship, right around here. Now you may be wondering why I've got all this brightly glowing blue stuff all over. These are different decor spots that are optional. So there's nothing in them right now, but they're showing me that I could put something there. So if I wanted to put a banner up right here, there's a variety of different things that I could set here. Like a smoked ham. Or a loudspeaker. Or a wriggling fish. Maybe not. But all kinds of random stuff. And that's up to you. You can decorate your ship up pretty much however you want. So even some of the big stuff that you see here isn't necessarily need to be there. I can take off that big thing of carpet. These things here are decorative. So there's a lot of decor options. Now we'll go down below deck here, and you can see there's even more decor options. Even to the point where you can custom choose handrails. So here is artillery. They're basically ultra-powerful cannons that only shoot forward. And a bunch more cannons below deck. Same on this side. Over here is where the captain will be piloting the ship. You've got your helm here, as well as the motor and the turbine. Turbine will move your ship vertically, which isn't very often used. Sometimes you use it for PvP and things, but generally speaking it's mostly just ignored, although it does have the launch button. So when you want to launch, you would come over and use the turbine. But you can steer the ship left or right, or accelerate and slow down, all from right here. Up above that, there is the visor. The visor gives you kind of a bird's eye view of your ship and lets you see where it is in relation to enemies in the area, the distance to those enemies, and all kinds of other information. It also has a couple of special abilities that you can use should an emergency situation arise, like emergency cooling of your power reactor, emergency relocating power to shields, various other features that you can do depending on which visor you've got installed. Back here in the back, we've got a lot of the important bits here. This is the reactor. So this is where you get all the power for your ship. It's a very important part of the ship. You want to have a good reactor, but there's different styles of reactors. They can be like some that give you a very quick amount of cooldown but don't produce a whole lot of power. There's some that have a very large power pool but are very slow to regenerate, and so on and so forth. And really, even with customizing the little bits and pieces of your ship, there's a lot that could be said that I don't really have time to cover in this video, but you'll want to balance it out and find the balance with the different components of your ship and your reactor that works best for you. So everything on the ship takes a little bit of power to use it. Now back here in the back, we've got our motor. This is, well, what you'd expect it to be. It's a motor. It's how you move the ship. It also dictates your weight limit. So a more powerful motor is going to have a lot more weight it can carry, as well as, there's a balance between weight and speed and things like that. And there's different kinds of motors out there, some that are designed to be faster and some that are designed to be more load-bearing, but that's the motor. So again, you'll have to kind of balance that out on yourself. This is actually pretty well hidden here on the side. This is the helm. So you may think the helm is up front there where we saw all the stuff that you'd use to control the ship, but if you want to change out the parts to your helm and get an upgraded helm, yes, there are upgrades for the helm, you would come back here, and on the opposite side you've got the turbine, which mine's first generation. I've barely touched this thing because, like I said, you don't often end up using the turbine, and my ship is not exactly a PvP ship. So lots of decor here, cool stuff, and then finally, we'll go down to the lowest part of the deck. This is your Goblin Repairman. So if you get in fights with demons or other players out there in the Astral, you're going to want these guys around. They can be picked up and taken to specific spots, and you'll see an option to put one down. It'll pop up on the bottom here, and it'll show a big ring over their repair radius, and everything that's in that area they'll start to fix. And last but not least, back here is the loot room, and I wish I had this much gold, but this is where loot goes that you've picked up from Allods. So when you've finished off a bunch of Astral runs and stuff, everybody will run down here and grab the loot. So it's a pretty quick tour, but that's about the gist of it for all the different components that are on your ship. And just about any of these can be swapped out for something that's better or more balanced. It all depends on your personal preferences and how you want your ship to behave. Now, I'm not going to customize any more stuff, so if I want to, I can just right-click and dismiss this shipmaster, and you'll see all the blue stuff disappears. And now you can see what my ship looks like without all of that extra clutter all over the place. I try to keep it pretty simple.
Well, that's going to be about it for the tour of the ship and the ship components. Next up, we're going to take a look out into the Astral and see how some of these ship parts actually work once they're out there. So we'll be doing that up next, and as always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.